David,
Yes.
am I enough?
Are you enough? For me, yes, of course.
But how much is enough, David?
I guess that's different for each person, right?
Is that the same for 401k contribution rates?
Well, maybe. Why do you ask?
Well, I'm just not sure everyone knows if they're contributing enough to their 401k plans, and if so, how much they should contribute.
Well, it's a good thing they're listening to Queer Money episode 343 because today we're talking about how much LGBTQ folks are actually contributing and how much is an ideal rate.
Well, let's get on with the show then.
So on the previous bonus episode 341 of the Queer Money podcast, we talked mostly to folks who don't have access to a company sponsored retirement plan. This week, we're talking to those at 72% of you who actually do have access to one. So per the Motley Fool Debt Free Guys LGBTQ plus money study, when LGBT folks have access to a company sponsored retirement plan, the most common response to the question of how much are you contributing came in at 4 to 6%. That doesn't mean that that's the average. It means that was the most common response, the largest number of folks. There are folks who are contributing less, in some cases zero, and there are folks contributing more than 6%. But the largest percentage of the group said that they were contributing 4 to 6%.
And that's of those who had access to a plan.
Right.
So is that enough, though? That's the proverbial question for this particular episode. And then if that's not enough, how much is enough?
Right. Yeah. Let's discuss this.
Good thing we're here. So as David said, the most common contribution rate for those who do contribute is 4 to 6%. That's good, but what do professionals and the data suggest that we should contribute? Yeah. Well, for some context, YahooFinance found that most Americans, the general population, LGBTQ and otherwise included, average about 11.2%. So we're contributing about less than the general population, but is even 11.2% enough?
Well, maybe not. Vanguard, one of the largest mutual fund companies out there, recommends 12 to 15%. Fidelity recommends 15%, which, keep in mind, both Fidelity and Vanguard make money off of people keeping money in their accounts, right? So they may be skewed a little bit higher, but the reality is, even if they are skewed higher, the LGBTQ community is about halfway there. A lot of us are not contributing as much as we should based on recommendations.
Exactly. So what exactly should you contribute? How much should you contribute? Ultimately, it's different for everyone. It's based on your current lifestyle and income and your future or expected lifestyle investments and income. And that's, to be honest, that's really different for a lot of people. A lot of people wouldn't like the lifestyle that David and I have. And so our investment strategy, our retirement strategy wouldn't be conducive to what would make them happy. What you might like might be completely different than what your friends and family and everybody around you might like.
Right.
So it's different for everybody, but it's important to think about what is it that you want and how can you actually get there. Ultimately, to figure out exactly how much money you need to have invested and saved before you can actually say, hey, I'm out of here, I'm not working anymore. We encourage you to listen to episode 326 of the Queer Money podcast, where we talked about how to calculate your retirement number.
Yeah. I remember having a conversation with one of our friends who at the time was living in LA, now lives in Palm Springs. And he and his husband estimate that they need about $9 million when they reach full retirement age. And that kind of popped our eyes open. We have our number set at 2.5 million, but that's because where they live, the taxes they're going to pay, the lifestyle that they have, and the lifestyle they want to maintain. It's completely different for everyone. But the thing is they've calculated, right?
They know what they want.
Right. So not contributing what you should, well, don't be fooled. If you're doing that, many studies suggest that it's more often than not a spending problem, not necessarily an income problem, that causes folks to not contribute as much as they quote unquote should, or truly want to contribute to reach their retirement goals.
Yeah, I think immediately most people will go to, I'm just not making enough money. And so often it turns out to not really be the case. I mean, when you actually look at the math, look at the spending, looking at the income, for most folks, it's actually a spending problem, not an income problem. And I know that's a contentious topic, especially in our community, but the data doesn't lie. So yes, we encourage you to ask for a raise, look for a better job with better benefits, start your own business to diversify and increase your income streams. All that is great. But if you don't get a handle on your spending, if you suffer from lifestyle or an inflation creep, as we did, and suffered the consequences for, you're just never going to make enough to be able to contribute and save and invest enough. So, our recommendation is to get crystal clear on where you're spending, how you're spending, where is every dollar coming from, where is every dollar going. Way back when we finally realized that we had $51,000 in credit card debt, one of the very first exercises we did, David did it. It was to itemize every single expense of ours from the previous year. And it was eye-popping to see where our money was going. We didn't really know the large life that we were living, because we weren't quantifying where the money was going. But when you on paper, we were living like rock stars. And we quickly realized that if we were more judicious with how we spent our money, if we redirected our money from the wine and travel and entertainment categories to retirement or paying off debt, we could actually reach our money goals much more quickly. And we would argue for most of our listeners, most of the LGBTQ community, probably a similar story.
Yeah. So listen to episode 190, where we talk a little bit more about what a spending analysis is or how you can do one. One of the things that we recommend is that folks do a spending analysis every 6 months. So you have a 6-month look back, and you can have a 12-month look back. Really what this does is it allows you to see the big areas where you might be overspending with wine, John. And this allows you then to reduce your expenses and put the difference into a company sponsored retirement plan or towards the financial goals that you're trying to reach with your investing and planning for the future.
I only ever drink half the bottle. With that, stay tuned for your Career Money takeaway from this episode. Thank you for listening to another episode. Here is your Career Money takeaway from the show. Itemize all of your expenses for the past year, as detailed as you possibly can get, and see if you're getting the value on the spending or even the financial insecurity that you think you're getting.
Right. And then join us next Tuesday for a regular scheduled show and Thursday for another bonus episode brought to you by The Motley Fool, Debt Free Guys, LGBTQ+ Money Study.
Thank you and have an amazing weekend.